Huberto,
Hey,
welcome to
hey,
Mexico, man. Welcome to Mexico.
you'll be leaving soon? You'll be leaving this week?
I be back in the U.S., back stateside on Thursday. So today, this afternoon, tomorrow, and then out we go.
Awesome. Well,
So, but it's pretty
another
fun.
another tropical mastermind.
Well,
All
here's a
right, welcome everybody. Welcome David, Dorina. Good to see you. Dr. Art, it's been a while. Hope you're well. Jim, my good friend, and Linda. Oh, speaking of Jim, I want to share something potentially alarming, Ridgely. You know, we're big science fiction fans, and so Jim shares this with me and scares the heck out of me. I'm going to share my screen. Look at he shared this bit of news here. AI turns murderous to avoid being shut down. A shocking new study found that top AI models were willing to kill, cutting off employees' oxygen in a desperate bid to stay alive. So they ran 16 tests, Anthropic did, and AI is actually not like here to protect us. So like we have some work to do, right? And so it's perfect for war machines. I had a neighbor last summer. She very bright girl. She went out to California to work on some tech stuff. And I said, "Oh, where are you going?" She said, "I can't say." I said, "What are you working on?" She said, "Oh, I can't say." So then she comes back later and she tells me she was working on these autonomous uh fighting units, that these like things. So there's some very scary stuff going out there in terms of like military applications and AI. So thanks for the heads up on this, Jim. Bright cherry way to start the mastermind.
Well, I got stuff too, man, because I'm down here at the resort, right? And so here's the thing. As a result of uh, all of the political unrest, the whatever that's out there right now, bookings are way down. Bookings
Right.
travel to Europe is way down from the United States. Internal travel, people going to Mexico are scared, etc. So uh, I'm here in paradise in our absolute favorite place on earth, Akumal Bay Wellness. And I've shared this with everybody on the mastermind. And historically, I have been unwilling to really promote or share Akumal with anybody because it's so awesome. And when
Right.
TripAdvisor a few years ago came out and ranked it the number 13 all inclusive in the world, it was booked solid, nonstop. You couldn't get in, whatever. But now, in the wake of all this political unrest and all this stuff and fear mongering and yada yada, um, bookings are down for the first time ever, since I remember. So I said to the CEO, we were good friends. I trained the staff here, and I said to him, "Dude, let me help you. Let me help you using AI. Do you have any idea what it can do?" And he's like, no, I really don't. But let's talk to Pablo, who's the CMO, the guy who's responsible for bookings. And this guy kind of makes, Hubert, he kind of like tells me that he kind of knows AI because he does chat GPT sometimes. And I'm like
Right.
thinking to myself, you have no idea what you're talking about. You're just a dabbler. You put your toe in and you think you're really smart and you have no clue of what's possible, right?
Right.
So exactly 1 hour ago, I sat down with the CEO and the CMO of the resort. And let me just share the output of what we did because
Did
it's
you do it in English or Spanish?
well, that's the whole thing. Check it out. I'm going to walk through this whole thing
Okay,
and show
great.
you. So afterwards, what I did, now they're already in there copying it, right? See that it's pink? You can see that it's pink. That's
Yes,
because
yes,
the
yes.
CMO, that C right there, is now copying all this stuff that I did, right? So I
Right.
started out with prompt creator, right? And
Yes.
said, hey, you're an expert marketer. Tell us how to get more promotions. Here's a refined overview of marketing strategies: check-in and pre-arrival promotions, email marketing and segmentation, upselling and cross-selling, on-stay activities, post-stay touch points, digital integration, measurement optimization, summary of the tactics, questions. So we answer all the questions to make sure we're really educated and get a new version. Pre-arrival magic, 7 to 14 days before you check-in promotions, what happens when you get here, on-stay enhancement and events, restaurant-led conversions, excursion cross-sell strategy, checkout conversion, always on digital marketing, next steps. I said, great, give me the top 5 promotional ideas to generate bookings. The Return to Serenity loyalty rebooking offer, the Wellness Week limited time booking, the Bring a Friend Both Save promotion, VIP upgrade, mystery gift, etc., summary table, etc. And then I said, just give it to me in Spanish. And now the entire thing flips into Spanish, completely seamless. Now
Mm-hmm.
all of it is in Spanish moving forward. Return to Serenity, Wellness Week, Bring a Friend, whatever, etc. Go through that. Then I said, okay, what would you like? Well, give it to me to promote to European people only that are not American, because they're different cultures. Because the guy was arguing with me that, oh, well, it's totally different in Europe. So now we have a table. American tourists, European tourists. What's it look like?
Ah.
What motivates them? What are the best strategies to attract Europeans? Collaborate with tour operators, position as a wellness and nature retreat, uh, digital campaigns, long thematic stays for a long time, like yoga, meditation retreats, etc. Emails. What can we do now? It says. All right. I said, great.
Wait, how did it go back to English?
Because I went and I popped in, give me the whole website. I went back to my prompt library and said,
Gotcha.
give me the whole website. So it starts building a website where wellness meets the Caribbean. Find your calm on the shoreline of paradise, right? And about us page. Rooted in nature, driven by care, more than a resort, a refuge for the soul. Accommodation, your oceanfront sanctuary. And now I said, flip it into Spanish. So now we flipped it back into Spanish for the guys, right? And they are just blown away. They're like, what the hell is this? I've never seen anything like this. We're only on page 23 out of 40, right? So there's more. Give me some special packages. Wellness retreat, romantic escape, cultural experience, all that, right? There's a whole package, right? So they said, okay, what can we do here? What else could we do? I said, give me flesh out the romantic package, including weddings, honeymoons, and renewing your vows. And there we go. Now we got the romantic package from Akumal, the romantic escape, the this one right here is the honeymoon, includes all of the above plus this. Then weddings on the beach says, say it with the waves as your witness, right? So say your
Yeah.
vows with as the waves as your witness. Awesome. I mean, these guys are just blown away, right? And how do we do this? And we did go through the whole press. And then I said, all right, give me a rap song in Spanish, Eminem style for Akumal Bay for 30 seconds. And it busted out in 5 seconds. And it sounds like this. Yo me fui pa' Cumal, desconecté del mal, arena en mis pies, vibra celestial, cuerpo en el spa, mente en paz mental, masaje en pareja, ritual tropical, 5 restaurantes, sabor sin final, soundbath me eleva a nivel astral, yoga en la playa, vista brutal, tu estrés se evapora, no es opcional, quieres amor, bienestar real, Akumal Bay, tu escape ideal, es reserva directo sin canal digital y recibe un regalo romántico total. These guys leapt
Awesome.
out of their chair laughing so hard they could not believe that this tool could do that. It was frigging awesome, bro. It was
That's
absolutely
great.
awesome. So then, to make it even more ridiculous, I said, okay, now give us a flyer. So here's a whole flyer all built to get them more bookings, etc. Uh, and then after that, I said, okay, uh, I took the entire thing, copied it from ChatGPT, popped it into a Google Doc, and went to Gemini and said,
Mm-hmm.
what would you do to make this better? So now I've got a double AI option happening. First ChatGPT, then I'm popping it into Gemini, and now I've got the entire Gemini report all the way through of how to make it even better. So I've got 2 different AIs working. Now, and then we did the flyers, and these guys were like, how in the hell? So now it says, why are you going to leave when here's where you feel the absolute best? your rest deserves more time, right? And then extend your stay, get a 25% discount on additional nights. And
Oh, this is the idea you told me about yesterday about leaving a flyer and giving a discount to the people that are there that are going to book before they leave.
yeah. And then
Brilliant.
just to fuck with everybody, excuse my French, I said, because they couldn't, they're like, they're already completely mind fried, right? I said, now give me the flyer in Mayan. Bam. There it is.
Wow.
A flyer in the Mayan language. The CEO just went, I, I,
That's
I
that's
can't,
wild.
I can't take this all in. I gotta go now. And he came by, he shakes my hand. He said, bro, he says, let me ask you something. Do you think that next time you're coming down here, you could come down a couple days early and help us with all this stuff? So I left it. The final thing was with Mayan, the Mayan flyer.
Oh, that's great. That is funny. Well, the answer is yes, you can help, but you have to bring your whole mastermind team with you.
Right?
Let's
Exactly.
let's bring let's bring the whole mastermind down to Akumal.
Hey, man, at least my partner's got to come. I mean, dude, it was so fun to show somebody something that they just did. They had no idea what's possible. Now, if you've been in this mastermind for a long time, you've seen Hubert do even much more ridiculous things than what originally just did. What I did is relatively straightforward, but I
Yeah,
know
but
how
you
to
did it in three
do it.
languages.
I did do it in three languages.
Oh, speaking of that, I was just curious. Is the Spanish perfect?
Hmm?
Is the
Perfect.
Spanish perfect?
Flawless. Absolutely
Wow.
great.
Okay.
I mean, beyond. So
That's awesome. Okay, so then I assume that the Mayan is great as well. And so, wow. Dorina says, I need those prompts. I have a client with an oceanfront resort in Mozambique that we were redoing. How appropriate. That's great. Oh, Dorina reports I do Italian all the time and it is perfect. Wow, so that's
yeah,
great.
I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, the tool is so crazy good. And, you know, anybody can do it. And so I just love the fact that we can do that. And
Right.
you know, it was so fun to just blow them away completely, right? That they could experience what we do on a regular basis. That was today. But let me share with everybody
And
yesterday.
one more thing about that process that I want to mention. Okay. Um, the the evolution that you did where you take that output and you put it into Google Docs and then use Gemini, that's awesome because then on an ongoing basis, you have that AI editing help right alongside in that panel there and you can keep going. Brilliant.
Exactly. So this is the jungle, right? So yesterday, here we are.
Yeah.
That, my friends, is a boa constrictor that was pulled out of the jungle 5 days before trying to eat some of the birds at the bird
Hi,
sanctuary.
guys. So I want to introduce you to my new friend, the boa constrictor.
Keep it away from your
Kathy,
face.
keep it away from your face, right? That's right.
And when you guys come, Cesar is going to let you hold the boa constrictor. It's really strong. You can really tell how strong it is. You guys.
Right?
Oh man, really.
That was yesterday. So just saying.
Better you than me.
Kathy was like, I said, you want to hold it? No. So
Oh,
and Cesar was trying to talk her into it. No. She finally came on and put her finger on the tail. And that was the extent of that. There was no way she was holding that boa constrictor. Forget about it. It was not happening. Gene said, I'm with Kathy. Yeah.
there you go. Excellent. Well, thank you for sharing that. That was chock full of value. Thank you. As mentioned, folks, there's plenty of hot seat availability today. We're going to open up our hot seats with Linda Rasch coming on. So, originally, if you can bring Linda on, she's got some things to share. But everybody else on the call, please check in. Some of these names that I see here, we haven't heard from you in a while. So, let us know how you're doing. Feel free to jump on just to give us an update of what you're up to. But first, we're going to start with Linda.
All right. It was so fun, man. I love blowing people away here. It's like the people that don't understand how ridiculous AI is, and they're just not clued in, even though they're running a big company. And this is a full-blown resort. I'm sitting down with the CEO and the CMO. It's like, okay,
That's
whatever.
awesome. Bruce said, "Did you have the snake for dinner later?"
Okay, so funny you would say that, but that gives rise to a story. Okay.
Okay.
So the guy, Cesar, who's taking us around, who's holding that snake and gives it to me, used to work in a restaurant right by the Grand Canyon. And they used to serve rattlesnake all the time. And he said it was really, really tasty. So 2 weeks ago, he's driving down the road and he sees this snake shaking a little bit. And he's like, "Oh, something's wrong with that. Let me check it out. I'm all about animals." So he stops and he sees that unfortunately the rattlesnake has been run over. The head is crushed and it's just flopping. So he doesn't want to scare his tour guys, right? So he takes everybody to the tour, drops them off, comes back, gets the rattlesnake, takes it home, puts it in the freezer, right? And then he knows he's got a barbecue date with some friends 2 weeks later. They busted out from the freezer 2 weeks later, cut that sucker up and grilled it and said it was just delicious. So there
That's
you go.
Dorina says tastes like chicken.
Yeah.
At least rattlesnake does.
I've had rattlesnake before. Rattlesnake's good. I mean, it tastes like it's the same like eating alligator or something like that.
Bruce says served rattlesnake. Wow, how does it hold the fork?
Yeah.
Oh, and Dr. Jean had to change screens to avoid looking at the snake. So yuck.
Yeah.
So Linda, thank you for being today's victim. If you want to unmute yourself, I want you to catch everybody up on what you've been up to and tell us your niche, your product, and then tell us how you're going through the phase of kind of rounding up support from everybody you know, like what that process has been like. So please
Okay,
share.
great. Well, as you know, because I've been transparent sharing over the years here, I've been creating a course which is ready to go, and I'm launching it through affiliates, our partners. Ridgely and Hubert have given their expert, insight to that. Thank you so much. And I have been so the course is actually a course creating clarity for entrepreneurs. That's the ultimate benefit, to help them get unstuck, create breakthroughs in the area so that they can really thrive and prosper as entrepreneurs. And I happen to use a creative way of doing that, which involves intuitive art. So this is a course in guiding them through that. And I have been reaching out to reconnecting with people that I know from past communities. During COVID, I didn't network like I did like a monkey before that. So I have many, 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 many people that I know, contacts that I needed to reconnect with. And used PAF Brain, the assistant, to help me craft communications, to reconnect with them in a way that, as a giver, felt that it would, really acknowledge our relationship and provide something that was adding value, that in acknowledging them, reconnecting, and also introducing them to the opportunity to be a partner.
That's awesome. I know that was super important for you to be um, not just like reaching out after a 9-year absence to say, hey, can you help me out? You needed to, reconnect and be gracious and all of that. Do you
Mhm.
mind reading through one of your templates? And then Ridgely hasn't, I know you
Sure.
passed it by me and I gave you some feedback. Ridgely hasn't heard it yet. So maybe
Uh,
Ridgely and the
okay.
others can give you feedback.
Uh,
But
yeah.
pick one of the templates that's been working for you
Okay.
and kind of explain how you use it. What parts do you personalize and what's it been like?
Sure. Okay. So the template that I'm using and then further customizing it is, I hope this email finds you well, or message on Facebook Messenger, because I don't have emails for everybody. It's been a while since we've connected, but your passion for connection, growth, and innovation has been on my mind. Um, so depending upon what I knew about them from the community, there's a little bit of customization there, what their passion is. That's why I'm reaching out to share something close to my heart. As I'm preparing to launch the Linda Rasch Method, a course designed to guide entrepreneurs like yourself to break through barriers and find the clarity they deserve, I'm looking for partners who share my vision. The course uses intuitive processes to help entrepreneurs rediscover their self-confidence and vision, wrapped in a nurturing, creative process. To kick off the launch, I've created a valuable video titled "The 3 Things You Must Get as an Entrepreneur." This lead magnet is more than valuable content. It's an invitation to begin a transformational journey. I picture a world where every entrepreneur can access their inner visionary and transform struggle into success. Would you be interested in helping spread this message? As a promotional partner, you would simply need to share the video with your network using copy I'll provide. It's a fantastic way to offer something valuable while being part of a powerful movement. If this resonates with you, I'd love to chat more about the details. Please let me know and we can set up a time to discuss how we can make real impact together. Love, Linda. And then there's a PS with something even more specific to catch up with them.
So really well done. Like that a lot.
Nice.
I would include early in the game a line along the lines of, first of all, I'd love to give you this course.
Yeah, that's great.
Right?
Yes.
Because then it's a let me give first.
Yes.
Gee,
Right.
that's
So
perfect for a giver originally.
there you have it. I thought it might resonate.
Yes.
And so, after that, the first couple lines for introductory lines there, something like,
Yeah.
and first of all, I would love to give you this course in the hopes that it might help you in your creative process.
Oh, yeah.
And then you go on to the invitation, if you will. But at least you're the one offering the gift before you're asking for anything.
Thank you. That was the missing link.
But,
Oh,
it's kind of what we do. So it's all
yeah.
good, right? But I think that would really help because that way it really comes across as being a, hey, and then the invitation becomes, and if you like it, or if this resonates,
Yeah.
the
Right.
rest, right?
Yeah.
So it's all about them
Yes.
first.
Yes.
And then after making it about them, then you come into and if it makes sense or if it resonates with you, I'd love to offer it to be shared with your community in an affiliate relationship. That's
Mm-hmm.
a win-win. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's
That's awesome feedback. That's great. So Linda, explain like how many people you plan to contact, how many people you have so far, and how many people have said yes. Like give us the stats so far of how it's going.
Yeah. So I have reached out to 31 people. And there have been 6 people who pretty much immediately said, I'd love to, let's catch up and talk and, get the details. So
That's
they've
good.
signed up. So they're already signed up as affiliates. And then I've shared with them their custom invitation to their community. So that's how I've been doing it up until now. With this tweak, I don't know how that will affect that process. If some people are ready to go right to it, some people are. And I think originally you hit the nail on the head. Some people are like, yeah, kind of would like to know what this is. I'd like to have an experience with it. I know I would, because that's just responsible and tending to your community, right? I think. But maybe not an affiliate, partner relationship building. So this is new to me. So I appreciate any thoughts you have on that. But 6 people said yes, they are signed up as affiliate. Some are emailing, some want to send direct messages, so I have to create a custom message for that. And others want me to, I've been on one podcast, and I have others who want me to be on a show that they're producing. So it's that seems to be the way. Another person wants me to be on a webinar, adding value, talking about what I know. So there's a number of different vehicles now that'll be developed to support that.
Yeah. And so on those webinars and the podcast, you want to have that lead magnet ready also, right? To give away to those people and to make it really easy for them.
Right.
Dr. Linda, Linda's art course or whatever, the landing page, something,
Yeah.
so that you can give it to somebody so they can hear it and it's easy to get to the lead magnet. And also so that it goes in the notes that go along with the podcast or whatever, so that somebody can click on.
Yes.
Sure. So that definitely will help.
Mhm.
Dr. Jean adds this, the added benefit of having some people go through it for free as your gift could be a way to get feedback as friendly critique and or testimonials.
Mhm.
That's a great idea, Dr. Jean.
And you could also reach out to, of the 31, if 6 have said yes, but 25 have not quite agreed yet, it could be a very easy, hey, Tina, by the way, I forgot to put this in. Of course, I want you to have the course for free. Da 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 da. Fill in the
Yeah,
blank, right? Just
yeah,
follow up with a thing saying, sorry, I didn't mention this, but it goes without saying that I want you to have this, yada, yada. Which email would you like me to use in sending it to you?
right, right.
Right. So you're automatically, because in the affiliate world,
Hmm.
um, one of the kind of givens is that you're going to give your partner the course. Like there's no way you're going to make a partner pay
Right.
for something if they're promoting for you. So given that that's kind of like an unspoken
Yeah.
absolute must,
Yes.
much better to take advantage of that and
Hmm.
be proactive in the gift so
Hmm.
that, A, you indicate that you know how the game is played, but B, you beat them to any kind of a objection in that way.
Right. Absolutely.
So
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Um, Yeah, it's interesting because I get, the output I got is certainly viable, makes sense, it could work, and then I'm still like, there's something a little off here. What is that element? And you've just struck on that. So there will be more refinement, and I think the opportunity now is to have, uh, you know, AI really uh, be expert at helping it give me the output that I need. So it's all a process, and I really appreciate. Yes.
well, and then after that also, when you're having any kind of communication with these people, it's always, is there anything I can do for you? Do you need any guests on your podcast? Do you need anything like that? Because most people, here's what's kind of a relatively not so well-known phenomenon. People who produce content on a regular scheduled basis, guess what they need?
Content.
Yeah. They need content. Kind of crazy, right? So it's like a bit, but there you go. You've been with us long enough that you know that's the way it is. And they welcome the opportunity to have good guests
Yeah.
do stuff. It's a benefit to them because that's one slot that they don't have to fill,
Right.
right? So it's a positive. It's not in any
Absolutely.
way a hard ask. Uh,
Absolutely.
no, if it's Joe Rogan, maybe it's a hard ask, but people that have less than 3 million followers, probably they're just looking for content,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Um, so I would suggest that that's another way to ingratiate yourself and say, hey, is there anything I can do for you? Do you need any content? Do you need any guests for your shows or whatever? That's another way to say, hey, I'm here to help.
Hmm.
One more, ready?
Right.
One more is,
Yeah.
after I've finished my launch, I would love to reciprocate,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
What do you have in the hopper right now? What's going on? So
Mhm.
Margaret Lynch is a friend of mine. A lot of people know Margaret Lynch because she's an expert tapper, right? She's a tapper. She tap, 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 everything, right? And she's a friend of mine. In fact, for many years, her affiliate manager was one of Hubert and my great friends,
Mhm.
Alan Davidson. Alan, unfortunately, is no longer with us, but for a long time he was at. And so I got an email yesterday from one of the other big affiliate managers that I know, Danny Berman, in London, saying, hey, I've just started representing Margaret. Have you ever heard of her? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, I hang out with Margaret. Okay,
Mhm.
whatever. But in those circles, those communities, when you find people that you resonate with, it becomes easier to also say, do you know anyone else who might be interested?
Right.
And
Yeah.
then, like with Danny, because it's Margaret, we'll for sure promote whatever she's got going on. And Danny said to me the other day, because Hubert and I have been so busy with dentists, frankly,
Mhm.
that we keep threatening to release our new mastermind. And we've been threatening to release that mastermind, I think, since January. And it's just like not
Nice.
happened. Even though it's ridiculously powerful, it's still not 100% done. And Danny says to me the other day, he says, hey, man, you've built up a lot of chits with me because you've promoted everything I've asked you to promote that was a fit. Um, he says, do you want me to represent you? That's what he says to me, right? So when
Yeah.
you start building, when you start doing that reciprocating thing for people, you really build up a lot of muscle. So one of the ways you can get people to say yes is by saying, and of course, once I finish my launch, I'll have a fresh list I'd love to promote for you.
Oh,
So
beautiful.
this is how this game works. It's a whatever.
Yeah.
Back and forth. And it really doesn't, people are worried about, oh, it cannibalizes the list or it gets everybody's on everybody else's list. And yeah, maybe, but not everybody opens everybody's emails, right? So there's lots of different ways of doing this. But anyway, those are a few thoughts for you.
Yeah. And what
Excellent.
I love too about that is you were saying, oh, and by the way, when I'm done with the launch, I'd be happy to. That addresses the desire I have up front to, to do something for them, which can table what I'm doing very easily if I'm not careful, because that's one of those blind
Well,
spots.
and it's very important to use that specific language because anybody that's a player in the game understands that the very best time to get somebody to mail for them is right after they've done their own launch, because then they're going to have a fresh list of people. So if somebody says to me, when's your launch?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, you're smart. You know what you're talking about. But if I say, when's your next big launch? Then I'm going to say, well, let me promote for that. Would you be able to promote for me after your launch?
Right.
That's a very smart thing to do because there is no better list than a fresh list post-launch.
Mhm. So
Yep.
much to learn. Thank you so much for sharing your.
Jean is sharing another message, congratulating Linda. Nearly 20% yeses out the gate is pretty impressive. Well done, Linda.
Thanks,
That's
Jean.
awesome. On your behalf, I'm going to ask Ridgely for some advice. So Ridgely, as a giver, might Linda fall into some traps that might derail her in this process where she needs to, because I worry about her being able to stay on point to get what she needs in terms of support for her launch?
The biggest thing is to just make your launch first. That's all.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to say, well, sure, I'll be happy to do that for you, Linda, as long as you promote for me before that.
Yeah.
And that's not a good idea because you don't have the list built yet.
Right.
And what you don't want is to fall on your face in front of other affiliates, right? So to be able to say, well, I'm really focused on my launch, be delighted to promote for you after the launch, but not before, so that you get your house in order first.
Yes.
I think that's important.
And one other thing too, Ridgely, I had advised Linda to stick with the lead funnel that she created and try to avoid too much custom stuff and flying around with all kinds of ideas that the JVs are suggesting because it takes Linda off track.
100%. They'll be like, well, my people would more respond to blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, great. Well, then you write the email for them using the copy that I supply for you. Change it however you want. But
Exactly.
don't take that on. It's just not worth it. That is one of those where the juice ain't worth the squeeze. Or the squeeze ain't worth the juice, whatever the how that thing goes, right? In other words, it's just not worth it. It's not worth your time to do over customization. That's why you provide people with a series of here's suggested subject lines, here's suggested copy, change it anywhere you need to, here's your links, end of story.
Yes. Perfect.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Linda, for
Thank you.
volunteering.
Yeah. Thank you,
That's
Hubert.
great.
Thank you, Ridgely.
All
You
right.
are
Thanks,
so
Linda.
welcome here.
Anybody
All right,
else want to jump on the hot seat?
Huey, want to make sure that we give an update on the de-indexing stuff and how things have started to climb back up a little bit, and why that is that there was a huge hit downtick and now there's been a bit of a correction, and how it is that Google generally does this,
Right.
because I think that's
Okay.
really valuable, because some people may have been like, well, yeah, I took a hit, but I'm kind of coming back now. But you're not going to come back all the way. You're only
No,
going to
you're
come
not.
back part way, right?
Exactly. So yes,
Important to
and let me
understand. Like,
yes, and let me explain the mechanism by which you cannot come back fully if you've been hit. Okay. The reason is because, and also just to give everybody the background, because I'm looking at the list of attendees, not everybody has been on these last two calls. I encourage you all to watch the replays. This is pretty important stuff. Google has gone through two recent algorithmic changes, and they have not admitted to either of them yet. Okay. The first one was at the very end of May, and they had a mass de-indexing, which means that for a given site, they took a certain percentage of pages out of the index, out of the list of pages that might appear in the search results. Ordinarily, it's not a big deal if it's a low percentage, but what Ridgely and I and our team saw is that these were huge amounts of pages that were taken out. Literally overnight, some of the sites saw a loss of 40, 50, 60, 70% of their pages de-indexed, okay, overnight. Now, when we dug in, we saw that the pages that got de-indexed, we were not surprised that those were the pages that got de-indexed. Why? A lot of them were housekeeping pages, okay, from from the WordPress system or whatever system. They created some duplicate pages that, because of housekeeping, already contained content that were on other pages. That was one reason. Another reason is that it was on pages or blogs that just weren't worth it. It was 200, 300 words, maybe a poor picture on there, maybe it had some spammy material, or it was entirely duplicative of either other people's content or even your own content, right? And so Google went through and did a big house cleaning. That was at the end of May. The first week of June, at the end of the first week of June, they followed that up by concentrating more on the quality requirements. And again, they took away pages and sites that had spammy links going to them that were artificially inflated. They're inflating the rank value and so forth. And they basically did a tightening of the quality of it. And so it was a big deal. Now, the reason why Ridgely is saying that you're not going to come back all the way, even though we saw some of the pages get put back in the index, okay, we saw that in some of the cases. The reason why you're not going to come back all the way is because the way you're getting dinged is at the domain level, meaning your entire website is being filtered out because of what they saw. The fact that you're coming back a little way does not remove that overall hit on your website until you can prove to Google that you've slimmed down your site. And our analogy that we've been using with our clients is that Google is helping you trim the fat. Okay. Now, interestingly, in the past, Google has always been a mysterious black box. We don't know why they're doing this. We don't know why, but this one is easy to understand because of what's going on out in the world. And it's particularly important to us, our group, and the focus that we all have on AI. I'd like Ridgely to kind of explain the business case as to exactly what's going on, why Google's doing this, why it's actually not a bad thing, and how it affects you and your site and what you can do about it. Ridgely, do you mind explaining to everybody? Because this explains everything. And Ridgely, do you mind taking Linda off the screen here?
Yeah. So for sure. So refresh your thing where Linda's already done. Okay. And thank you, Linda. So we all know that at the highest levels of things, the great motivator is profit, right? It's money. It's that's what's driving things. And especially at the shareholder level, and all CEOs, all companies are responsible to their shareholders. Their compensation is generally tied to performance, and it's a big deal. So as we're digging into this whole situation to figure out what in the heck is going on at Google that caused this massive global de-indexing of pages, I find an article that is all about Google CEO Sanjay, right? And Sanjay has just hired a new whiz-bang dude to head up their global AI development initiatives and created a whole new position, a whole new division that is all about Google keeping pace with ChatGPT and with Grok and with all the others, et cetera, that are out there, right? Well, guess what? There are only so many data centers across the United States. They take up an enormous amount of what's called compute power, the power that is needed to run those things. Google, in order to be the global dominant position in search, has to go out and crawl across billions of websites and billions of pages, billions with a B, right? So the power, the compute power that it takes to crawl all of these websites, therefore can't go anywhere else, including into the new division of Google, which is the AI development division headed up by this new guy who literally was announced 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago. Okay. So this is a very recent thing. So as we're walking through this, we're like, wait a second. Okay, so new guy comes on, new guy goes to Sanjay, CEO of Google, and of course I'm making this very much more simplistic than it really is. I'm sure it was a giant thing, and says, dude, you want me to do this AI stuff? You want Gemini to compete, SGE, Search Generative Experience, to compete with Claude and OpenAI and Deep, all these other engines that are out there, Elon's Grok, whatever. I need more compute power. I need you to give me more juice to go do these AI things that you're talking about. So they have a meeting, and the top powers that be say, we're using a lot of compute power crawling websites. And a lot of these websites have a lot of pages that are garbage. They're thin, they're duplicative, they don't provide value to the customer, etc. What if we just de-index all those guys? In other words, what if we take them out of the Google machine so that we don't have to use our compute power to crawl through bad pages, skinny pages, thin pages, duplicative pages, even pages that were generated by AI. So think about the paradox here. Google is saying, we're going to penalize pages that were generated by AI so we can go do more AI stuff. I mean, that's kind of a little interesting, right? But actually, they're doing the right thing. They're saying we're going to penalize websites and website producers, content producers, for taking the easy road and using AI to generate content that's not any good, duplicating the content so that it's not original and authentic, using templates to create the content, and so on. So literally the biggest agencies out there, agencies handling 1,000 clients, are taking a beating. They're getting killed because they've been using duplicative content, templates, AI, etc., to produce their stuff. So to give you an example, we instantly made the change on our end. We don't do that. We try to really be original, create value, make sure that our copywriters are rewriting content, even if they're using AI to produce a flow or a raw piece of material or a draft, right? How do we make this so that we ensure, AI word that I hate, that that we're never going to get that penalty, because it's always going to be original, always going to be authentic. And what we did is we said, well, you know what? We're just going to use videos as the basis for our blog posts. So now if there's only one video that has been created one time for one website, by definition, it's authentic. By definition, it's original. And by definition, it's going to pass the muster on the Google de-indexing machine and cause our clients to rank higher than everybody else. So I don't know, Hubert, if you want to pull up like Sunrise Dental, for instance, to show how after following the de-indexing on a global basis that started on May 26th, our clients, the ones that we produce the content for, are actually on the uptick, not the down slope.
Let me share my screen. And so Dr. Jean is asking in the chat, for advice on how to tell and what to look for and so forth. So let me just show you the main tool for this to know for sure is called Google Search Console. Okay. And I will show and talk about that in a second. I encourage everybody to get up to speed by going to ChatGPT, okay, And hold on, let me log in. Okay. I don't know why I got logged out. Here we go. All right. Sharing my screen again. All right. I urged you, Dr. Jean, and everybody else, go start a new chat. Just say act as an expert SEO and advise me about the recent mass de-indexing by Google in late May and June. Okay. So say, tell me what happened and why, and then say my niche is dentist website. Okay. Then it's going to go and look up the information, and it's going to cast the information specifically for you in your niche, right? And so,
And by the way, let me add one thing. One thing you
yeah,
could also do to take this a level deeper, Gene, because I know that you're that person, is my niche is insert your niche, and then put the following sentence. Ask me any questions you need to give
yes.
me the best possible result. So that then AI will ask you questions to clarify your need and make it happen.
Yes. And by the way, while Ridgely was talking, did you see what ChatGPT was doing? It was in the thinking mode where it was giving you an idea of what it's looking at, how it's doing this. This was very much in the style of how Perplexity works and in their kind of research mode, right? And so this is kind of giving you an update. I mean, a view into how it's thinking and how it's surmising and ranking the information that it's gotten. Okay. So it's going through all the thinking and then all the research, and then it's going to come back with the answer. If you get impatient, you can always hit answer now, but I urge you to look at the thinking mode, because this is the value of AI. It's not actually thinking, of course, but it's doing some tried and true research uh planning that is worth following. Okay. And so it's doing way more than I would know what to do. Okay. And so um Bruce is thanking me for mentioning this last time. Bruce said, I installed the WordPress plugin RankMath and was able to mark many of my pages no index and no follow. Hubert, thanks for recommending it. So Bruce, that's great that you did that. It makes it much easier to manage, and you did the right thing there. So that's good. Okay, so now the results are in. So what happened? May 26th to 27th, there was a sudden spike, and I'll explain what this means, in the category of crawled, currently not indexed. Okay. So many sites reported 20 to 60% of previously indexed URLs disappear overnight. That's substantial, right? And then there were two further waves of volatility, and it has not been officially named yet. Ridgely's always like pointing out how they name these things retroactively, these stupid names like panda or whatever. Like
Dolphin, platypus,
right,
whatever.
exactly. Okay. All right. And of course, Google is just saying at this point, oh, it's not a bug, it's normal, right? Yeah, it's normal to throw junk out of the index, is what they're basically saying. Okay, so here's the main reason why the pages were dropped. Okay, thin or near duplicate content, right? AI paraphrased blogs, very low or no organic hit clicks historically. If you're blogging and nobody's listening, Google knows, right? Set and forget pages whose only purpose was ranking, not user value. In Google's own wording, we don't index all content, and what we index can change over time. The index is being trimmed to reduce unoriginal or low value pages so that AI generated overviews and search generated answers can surface fresher, higher quality material faster. So originally, they're agreeing. ChatGPT is now totally agreeing what we surmised, several weeks ago. And I've been running this query every single day, and every day it changes, and it's catching up to what we've been seeing 2, 3 weeks ago. So we've been ahead of the game, I must say.
Yep.
Now, the value of adding your own niche is that it's telling you why your niche is affected specifically, right? And so dentists tend to use these SEO blogs that all these big companies are doing. And when all you're trying to do is differentiate by putting your location and the service pages, by its nature, you get these thin, low content approaches. Originally told you what our solution was. We're going heavy on the videos from the dentist. By definition, they're original, they're much more interesting, and it's human to human communication. So anyway, I won't go through every single thing, but it gives you a triage thing of what to do, mark certain things, no index, and all of that. That's what Bruce was referring to with the plugin, and it gives you all of the best practices going forward, right? And so you can get that information from ChatGPT. Let me just explain visually, Gene and others, what to look for when you go into Google Search Console. And again, Google Search Console, and if you're working with a client, you may not have access to it. If the client has access to it, they can give you access, or you can just have them share your screen and show them where to look. Okay. So let me show you a website that got hit with this and what it looks like, and show you a website that didn't get hit with this and what that looks like. So if we go to a big old site with a zillion pages, you'll see that here I'm going to hover on May 26th. The index pages, the green line, we had 417 pages in the index, but then very rapidly that dropped to 356 and then dropped again down to 307, right? But since then, we've clawed back some of them, and that's a good sign, but you'll never get back to your original level. But also the thing is too, if you deserve to come back, you'll come back. So our observation has been that actually, originally, I think you'll agree with me, Google's being pretty fair in this. Okay, so because if you go and you click on pages, you can actually see the category of pages. It tells you why pages aren't indexed. The category to look at is this one here, crawled, currently not indexed. Those are the pages that Google looked at and decided not to index. So if you click on that, it tells you exactly which pages. So when you go and you click these pages, you'll see that they're kind of thin. If you click and look and see these category pages or these page/19 type pages, those are those housekeeping pages that we encourage you to tell Google not to bother visiting, right? If the URL ends in feed and so forth. So this tool here, Google Search Console, is very valuable in this whole search for what's going on. But please get the latest updates directly from ChatGPT and ask what's going on and ask what's happening in your client's niche, Dr. G. So originally, that's the state of the union there.
And Dr. Gene says, headline 38 minutes ago on the NYTs, AI has fractured the world between nations with the computing power for building cutting edge systems and those without. We were just talking about that, talk about cutting edge. That's exactly right. That's where we are. We're on the bleeding edge of this stuff. And it's really, really cool. Because the part that maybe is a little lost in this whole conversation, Hubert, is a lot of people are taking a hit, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that also means that some people are going in the opposite direction. That means that the people who are doing things right have an opportunity to go and leapfrog the people that are getting hammered. So if you're dealing with this in your business, then think about, wow, what could I do to help my clients get this right so that they have an opportunity to maybe go further than they could have in the past because they didn't have quite as many pages, they didn't have a same amount of resources, or so on. In other words, it could be a super positive.
Yes, and let's actually show an example here. We're just to brag for 1 minute, we're gonna go to a site that we recently revised. Okay, that would be Sunrise. Let me try to find that one.
Think we have enough sites in there, man?
Sunrise Dental Solutions right here. We're gonna go and look at the same exact time frame, and let's go into the overview and take a look at this, folks. Here we go. So May 23rd, look at the green line index. As this is happening, as the rest of the world was falling, we were actually rising. So how's that for doing just the opposite? right? In the same time frame that everybody else was getting hit, this site was getting rewarded.
Yeah, and if you ask yourself, okay, why is that? Then interestingly, we just launched a newsletter for these guys. So let me share my screen here for a second. And you'll see that on the newsletter, it's called Sunrise Underground. What's right there that just got released? A video blog post. There you go. There's the video of Dr. Rick. Video blog post right here, interview, by definition organic, and then of course all kinds of information below. So this just got released. We know it's 100% legit, and all these other things are also all other blog posts, all well documented, and great content, multiple blog posts. So of course they're going to say, wow, these guys are kicking butt and taking names because they're putting out incredible content. Content is still king. That's the point. Create value. Don't take the easy way out. Use AI to help you do a draft, to help you obliterate the blank screen syndrome so that you can do some stuff, but then give it your own flavor, add something of value, and specifically, if you can make it something that has a result generated to a client or a client's clients, that then really makes it more personal. Hubert, you want to mention something about that? Because that was something that you pointed out.
Yes, I do. And also, well, here's the bottom line, folks. People might say, oh, but Ridgely, getting a video interview is hard. What do you always say to that, Ridgely, when you hear somebody say, but it's hard, Ridge?
I love it if it's hard, because if it's hard, it means other people are not doing it, and it gives you a bigger edge. Do what's hard to give yourself an edge over the people who only like easy.
Yes, exactly. Now, some niches that's easier to do than in others. If you're a coach, if you run a small business, if you do consulting, if you are a local service provider like a doctor or a dentist, by its nature, all you have to do is explain to people who you are, what you do, where you do it, and how you do it. Everything that comes out of your mouth when you explain those things is by definition unique. Harder is when you do e-commerce and you're selling the same pair of shoes as everybody else, and then you have to differentiate. And how are you going to make your product listing more compelling than Amazon's, right? Well, the answer is going to be in the user-generated content. It's going to be in reviews. It's going to be videos of people saying, "Oh, I love these shoes," blah blah blah, whatever, right? And so Dr. Jean's asking, what about AI-generated or AI-enhanced videos for blog posts? Well, so it depends. If the information is valuable and helpful, then the answer is yes, right? And so again, go to ChatGPT, ask for how you can use EEAT principles to help avoid de-indexing, and it'll tell you exactly what to do, right? How to make your content authoritative and everything else. At the end of the day, what you want is, okay, so let me just share my screen and give you a for example. This is the future of search, and then we're going to wrap it up. Okay. So if I go to Google and I say, who is the best, I just did this the other day. Who is the best concierge dentist in Las Vegas? Boom. This area right up here, the AI overview from Google is what people are going to look at and go no further, right? Finding the best concierge dentist is subjective, but several highly recommended options exist. Dr. Todd Snyder is frequently cited, right? And so here's Dr. Todd Snyder. And Ridgely, did our client, Dr. Todd Snyder, appear in this AI overview by accident? Are all these links going to his site here by accident?
He was invisible before.
Correct.
Invisible. And now it's interesting because he's number one on the AI overview, but two of the ones that are in the map are both his.
Correct. And then here in the organic rankings, there's this competitor that's ahead of him. He's over here ahead of him, but because of what we did with AI mentions him first, which is pretty cool. Okay, so anyway, that's kind of like the future there. So originally, do you want to wrap things up, and then I have my closing remarks to give.
Indeed, indeed. So everybody, next week in the US is 4th of July weekend, so we will not have a mastermind call next week. We will reconvene on July 10th. That is a Thursday. So that's a Thursday evening, and that will be Mind Types After Dark. So Mind Types After Dark, Thursday evening, always 8 o'clock Eastern time, 5 o'clock Pacific. Mark your calendars. You'll get a notification. And have a great, if you're in the US, have a great 4th of July weekend next weekend, long weekend next weekend. Very fun.
So originally, in honor of you handling that boa yesterday, I have a couple of good dad jokes about snakes for you. Originally, what car does a snake drive? What car does a snake drive?
A cobra.
Oh, that's good. I'll take that answer. But my answer was an anaconda.
A
Richie, what do you call a snake that builds things? A
snake
snake
that
that builds things.
uh, uh,
A boa constructor. No, Rich, what do you call a snake that's 3.14 meters long?
big.
A python.
I'm done with you, man.
All right, no. One more bonus. Why did St. Patrick drive the snakes out of Ireland? Why did St. Patrick drive the snakes out of Ireland?
No idea.
It was too far to walk. Plenty more where that came from, folks.
All right, all right. Have a great 4th of July weekend, everybody. We'll see you later on the 10th of July. Have fun. Put great content out there so you're not de-indexed. All right.
Yeah.
Hasta luego. Ciao.
So long,
Bye,
everyone.
everybody.